All right, pop quiz. What innocuous household object was described by the LA Times in 2020 as the kind of gift that can send a tween into paroxysms of joy? The answer, ladies and gentlemen, is a friggin' water bottle. A water bottle supposedly sends people into convulsions of joy. What is going on with this bottle? The bottle in question, of course, is the ever famous Hydro Flask. We've got big name news agencies talking about them, celebrities flaunting them, and of course social media just driving the whole train off the cliff. It is almost eerie how into these bottles some people get, and here today we are going to find out why. So the quest for the perfect water bottle is a weirdly confusing experience. There's a bunch of different sizes to consider based on where you plan to use it and store it, materials that you have to choose from, different technologies to learn about, and then you have to pick a brand and a color that makes sense. I mean, in the last 5 years, it has become such a challenge that there are actually literally hundreds of videos on YouTube comparing and contrasting every brand on the planet. This seemingly normal purchase decision is now being analyzed with the same enthusiasm of a purchase 10 to 100 times its price. Seeing an evolving trend, Captain Travis Rossback and Cindy Weber launched Hydro Flask back in 2009. You know, when a water bottle was just a thing to carry water? Rossback was a scuba dive master. He was a US merchant marine boat captain. He was a commercial airline pilot, and he was a world explorer. So, you know, he's kind of earned the title captain, I guess. As an outdoor enthusiast, he wasn't too keen on trashing the planet with plastic bottles during his adventure. The problem was, he wasn't particularly impressed with the limited supply of steel bottles that were available at the time. So he and Cindy went out on their entrepreneurial adventure to make their own bottles. The Hydro Flask bottle style is hinged on their insulated steel design. However, this is not a new idea. Back in 1892, Scottish scientist Sir James Dewar found a way to keep chemicals at a stable temperature by storing them in a vacuum flask. Basically, he created a container with 2 walls and then sucked out the air from in between them. Without air to transfer heat into and out of the container, the chemicals in the flask remained at a stable temperature for quite some time. It did not take long for this idea to get commercialized, and in the early 1900s, the Thermos LLC was patented and the first steel water bottles were made in 1978. So yeah, we've been keeping stuff at a steady temperature in bottles for like, you know, over 100 years now. Hydro Flask just happened to repackage the classic thermos into a sleek and sexy water bottle design that soon became all the rage at farmers markets across North America. The idea was so popular, in fact, that the company eventually sold for $210 million to a massive conglomerate, and it's since become only more widespread. Seriously, these things are like the Fjallraven Kanken backpack. You know, if you see girls at school, they got like that backpack and they got this water bottle, and they're probably the coolest person in class. Not that I go to class or occupy that demographic, but that's what I imagine, because high school was a nightmare. Now today, there are lots of companies fighting for market share in the water bottle business, which still sounds weird to say. Many of these companies actually predate Hydro Flask, but none of them gained quite the same cult following. And the reason doesn't seem to have a whole lot to do with quality. Now, we're ready to admit that Hydro Flask makes a high quality product with a lifetime guarantee. They're not joking around when they say that their bottles will keep your drink cold for 24 hours or warm for 12. Some people even talk about drinks lasting for 48 hours. But this isn't even the most impressive in the industry. Clean Canteen has bottles that supposedly stay warm for 17 hours and cold for 63 freaking hours. Have we gone too far? I mean, seriously, how often do you think to yourself, man, I really hope my tea stays iced for the next 2.5 days?
Excuse me, sir. 48 hours. That's 2 days. Business days.
But apparently this stuff sells because people seem to be obsessed with these gimmicks. I mean, they're not gimmicks because it really does that, but like why? At some point, I think we have to admit to ourselves that there's really no significant difference in quality between these companies. Hydro Flask, Yeti, Clean Canteen, it doesn't really matter. They're all gonna keep your coffee warm until you finish it. They're all gonna be fine if you drop it on the floor by accident. But one of the biggest things that separates these brands is the social initiatives that they stand behind. One of the biggest reasons for Hydro Flask's success was its ability to tap into climate anxiety in a way that resonates with younger generations. The modern consumer today wants to feel like they are taking care of the planet with their purchase decisions, and Hydro Flask knows this. A huge part of their marketing centers around the idea of reducing plastic waste. In 2017, it was estimated that worldwide, we use 1 million plastic bottles per minute, and 91% of that plastic is never even recycled. Now, Hydro Flask wields these realities to prompt us towards something more reusable, which is their bottles. They encourage customers to use the hashtag #RefillForLife as a rallying cry against single-use bottles. As a bonus, they proudly advertise their Parks for All charity and how they've donated millions towards public green spaces. Hydro Flask wants customers to feel good about themselves when they buy a bottle, and it's working. Reusable bottles have now become a symbol of environmentalism, and Hydro Flask has become the symbol of water bottles. But the thing is, Hydro Flask is not the most impressive brand when it comes to environmental stewardship, not by a long shot. Clean Canteen is a registered B Corporation, which means that this is an established third-party company that authorizes and mandates all of the things that they say when they promote themselves online. They are also a 1% for the Planet member and certified climate neutral, which means that they give back set percentages of their revenue every single year to offset their impact on the planet. Because of these certifications, when you buy Clean Canteen, you know that what they're saying is true, that they're treating their employees right, that they're doing their best to produce products sustainably, and that a small part of your money when you support them is going to a good cause. But if Clean Canteen is obviously the better company, both from like a statistical and ethical front, then why is everybody going to Hydro Flask? Hydro Flask is simply sexier than their competing brands. While other companies outshine Hydro Flask in terms of functionality and ethical practices, the brand stands out with its simple style, bright colors, and minimalist logo. The classic design has even become a canvas for owners to customize their flask in all sorts of creative ways, while still being recognizable as the Hydro Flask silhouette. Because this recognizability is very important. The Hydro Flask appeal goes way beyond it looks good so I'll buy it. It is ultimately a social glue. Our social instinct is part of the reason why we see such fierce intensity surrounding sports teams and political parties. Go Jets. People are searching for a group to latch onto, and when they do, they can be like super loyal about it. It's why I can't talk to my uncle about hockey, because dude is a crazy Calgary Flames fan, and they're obviously the worst.
The rookie will wheel out the center ice, knocked over by Bufflin.
We also see this with consumer products, where people have started forming communities around all sorts of stuff, from athletic wear to coffee to movie studios. I mean, honestly, were there Disney adults back in the 90s? I don't think so. I really think that's a new thing.
I was thinking that we could see the world and experience new cultures.
Like at Epcot.
Hydro Flask has succeeded in this area in a way that no other water bottle brand has. Their bottles are bright and visible. Their logo is distinct and perfect for functioning as a signal to like-minded consumers. But get this, unlike, say, the slim and sleek Swell bottles that people had for a while there, most Hydro Flasks don't fit in the backpack bottle holder on your backpack. so you end up having to hold them and carry them instead, signaling as a sort of fashion statement. When Hydro Flask owners do this, whether it's intentional or not, they're signaling to the rest of the world something about who they are and what they value. And it's not just an assumption, like we've got anthropologists talking about this. This comes from Richard Wilk, professor emeritus at Indiana University. Toting a Hydro Flask, which starts at about $30, shows off a person's eco-chic credentials. It broadcasts the message, not only am I smart and stylish, but I'm interested in saving the world. We have literal researchers studying water bottles. Now, the irony here, of course, is that the rise of Hydro Flask was facilitated by this growing desire amongst millennials and Gen Zers to live healthier and better lives for themselves and for the planet. People buy Hydro Flasks specifically because it's good for the planet, when it's really not the best in any way. They have no third-party certifications, which means it's hard for us to know if any of the things that they say are actually true, and their products just have a lower statistical quality on the metrics that are apparently important somewhere on YouTube. These certifications are important because the process of making stainless steel for these bottles isn't always safe. From the mining of iron ore to transforming it into steel, the whole process can produce highly toxic air pollution and water waste, which can cause cancer and is extremely damaging to the environment. There are ways to reduce these risks, but with their lack of transparency, we're not at all confident that Hydro Flask is incorporating any of these methods. Basically, they're like DJ Khaled. They can yell that they're the best as long and as often as they want, and as long as nobody asks any questions, we all just kind of assume it's true. In contrast, Clean Canteen announced this year that they're making bottles out of 90% recycled steel, which is an industry first. So if you have a water bottle already, please just continue to use that one. It's not like a cell phone or a car or anything. Water bottle technology doesn't change that drastically. Honestly, I've used this Clean Canteen for like 10 years now. And yeah, it looks like it got hit by a car, and it literally has. But in my opinion, it just kind of adds to the charm. In terms of functionality, it literally still does what it's supposed to do, which is hold my water. And honestly, I'm probably just gonna get buried with this thing at this point. And if you are in need of a brand new bottle, all of these companies are going to do the same thing. They're all functionally similar, but if I had to express my biased opinion, Clean Canteen is the best. They're based in the US. They're the most ethically and environmentally minded of all of them, and statistically they're on top as well. No, this is not sponsored. Yes, I'm a fanboy, but you know what? You get what you get. But let us know what you think of this video and our take on the Hydro Flask situation. We would love to hear what you have to say down below. And if you're down there and you happen to hit that subscribe button, we will see you next Wednesday.